What's poppin'? What's good? Let's get into NXT from December the 16th, 2025. A pretty okay show for the most part. There were a couple matches on the show I didn't really care about. But it is what it is. But NXT was still good. We got the reason as to why Ricky Saints turned heel last week, which was great. And we'll talk about that. We also have a new North American Women's Champion. That was a botch, but it is what it is. It happens. It is what it is. But we're going to talk about it. So we're going to get into NXT from December the 16th, 2025. So we kicked the show off with Jevon Evans. So he is in the parking lot. He wants to get his hands on Ricky Saints. And Ava's trying to calm him down and everything else. And she wants him to come into the building. And he says, nah, he don't want to go into the building. So that was a pretty good way to start off the show right there. Moving on from that, this leads us into the first match of the night. Thea Hale defeats Mariah May to become the new NXT Women's North American Champion. Towards the end of the match, she ended up hitting a senton from the ring apron. So, the ref counted 3. Mariah May was not able to get her shoulder up. Well, actually, she was, but the ref botched it. So, they ended up doing a replay, and I'm guessing they're going to go with the ref decision being final. This is fine, because I think what they're going to end up doing is probably going to have Thea Hale just be champion for the remainder of the year, and then probably lose it at New Year's Evil in 3 weeks. And then from there, probably go to the main roster. That's just me. I think that's why they did that. Because Thea Hale's been in NXT for, has it been 2 years? I think 2 or 3 years. I'm thinking that she came in, because she came in during NXT 2.0. So yeah, she's been around the main. She's been on NXT for at least a good 2.5, 3 years. I think she came in NXT. Yeah, she came in after the start of NXT 2.0. So yeah, okay, cool. That's fine there. That makes sense. It is what it is. They wanted to do the shock factor. The crowd was super into it. So it makes sense. Clearly, Mariah May is going to get it back in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so it's fine. No harm, no foul, in my opinion. Moving on from that, this leads us into a backstage segment involving the calling. So Sean Spears says that he bet that Tatum Paxley cried a million tears after NXT Deadline, but it is what it is. Sean Spears points out that Nico Vance inspired doll that's sitting on one of their stools. So Nico Vance wants to know who put that there. Izzy said that Tatum clearly can't accept defeat. If she knew what was good for her, she would move on, because that's exactly what they're going to do. Izzy said that she corrected the mistake and they're done. No, they're not done by a long shot. They're going to continue this feud. It makes the most sense. Clearly, it seems like they're going for another match. Do you want to go for another singles match, just a basic singles match, or do you want to add a stipulation? I would add a stipulation. I feel that this feud needs to end before the end of the year. I would either do it next week or on the 30th. That's just what I would do, because to me it makes the most sense. If we're being honest, Tatum has been in NXT for 4 years. It's time for her to go to the main roster as well. I do think that both Raw and SmackDown, they need some NXT call-ups drastically to make the show a little bit better. And it's time to get rid of, JC Jane and all that. I mean, JC Jane and them. Even though we love them, they're great. They're awesome. But it's time for them. It's time for them to go to the main roster. That's just me. I think Thea Hale, JC Jane, Fallon Henley. It's time to bring them up as well. It's time to bring them up. Most of them have been there for like 3 or 4 years. You've had more than enough time to develop, and you move on from there. So yeah, moving on. This leads us into Ethan Page. He basically didn't say anything during this promo. He just mentioned, what happened at Saturday Night's Main Event and everything else, and all that jazz. He said that, he basically called out Tony D'Angelo. So he ended up getting Stacks. He came out along with his dime piece, Ariana. He says he doesn't give a damn about Ethan Page. He says what he wants for Christmas is more gold, because that's what Ariana wants. She's got expensive taste, and that's all she wants for Christmas is more gold. We got some things to discuss. So Ethan Page says that Stacks has zero decorum. He says, why are you out here to interrupt the greatest North American champion alive? So Stacks says that he just wants more gold to go along with his international championship, and those AAA mixed titles will look right around the waist of the NXT's hottest power couple. So then Moose shows up. He gets a really good reaction. He says that an NXT talent has a TNA championship once again. He says he knows that the boys in the back in TNA are pissed. He says he's laser focused on dealing with Ethan Page. So Ethan Page is like, nah, you don't make the rules here in NXT. Ava does. Moose said that he's already talked to Ava and Santino Marella, and it's going to be Moose versus Ethan Page at the NXT End of the Year Awards. So that's going to be cool there. Moose is okay, I guess. He's all right. Clearly, Ethan Page is going to retain. Why would he lose here? It would make no sense. But it is what it is, so good shit there. He got a good reaction, though. They're still keeping this TNA NXT partnership alive and well, which is all good. So, good stuff there. And then Moose beats up Ethan Page. Moving on from that, so Jevon Evans, he's still outside. He's looking for Ricky Saints. His homeboy, Leon Slater, comes in. And Jevon's been out there all night, basically. Leon tells Jevon Evans he needs him in the PC. Jevon tells Leon that he's got this. He'll be straight. Jevon is going to be waiting for Ricky Saints. Leon wants his boy at ringside because the night's main event is a number one contenders match. Jevon says that Leon's got it. Leon says that Ricky might not even show up tonight. Jevon says that Leon doesn't understand. He should be the NXT champion right now. Leon says that Jevon will get his lick back, but they got to focus on the number one contenders match. Leon asked Jevon if he's got his back or not. And then the two of them, they dap up. And Jevon goes into the PC. Okay. That's cool there. This is fine. Good shit there. Moving on. This leads us into Hank and Tank versus OTM. Hank and Tank win. I don't care about this. This is a waste of time. The NXT tag division is total garbage. Total garbage. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. Really and truthfully, tag team wrestling is dead all across all three promotions. TNA, WWE, and AEW. Although TNA has the Hardys as champion, but we don't know how long that's going to last. We don't even know how long that the Hardys are going to be with TNA. So we don't know. But, it is what it is. But I don't care about this. This is one match I didn't care about. Moving on. So Ricky Saints, he's up next, and he explains why he did what he did last week. He says the reason why he came to NXT is because he wanted to prove to the world that he's exactly what he's been saying for years that he is. He says he's the guy who can carry any brand, which is true, which is why he took a gamble on himself. He didn't have any options. Really, actually, he did. He could have ended up in TNA, but he wouldn't have gone there anyway. He says he needed to be obsessed with being number one. Now, everyone's searching for the man that was going to be Obafemi, and that man was him, and he did it. But what's confusing is that you enjoyed it for a minute, but you wanted somebody else in Jevon Evans. Would you rather have Jevon Evans be Obafemi? Which is why no one cared when the young OG decided to jump the line and cash his title shot in front of me way before he got his rematch. He said this is why he had to check Jevon Evans and remind his narrow ass that he ain't the man until he says so. His entire career, he's played it very safe, and he's been passed over and stepped on, but no more. I'm not doing that. I'm going to get what I want when I want it. And if that means I got to stab you in the back or in the front, then so be it. He tried to be a big brother to Jevon and give him some advice. Wait your turn. You're young. Your time's going to come. I waited for mine. You mean to tell me that Jevon Evans is better than Ricky Saints? How many titles has Jevon won? Whenever I allow Jevon Evans to step in this ring with me, I'm going to prove, just like everyone here, that he's class. He's a class way, way below him. So then Ricky says that you got NXT superstars chasing clout. When you got a superstar right here, a real main event, ain't nobody in this company more debonair than me, more suave than me. The only absolute Ricky Saints. I'm not the wrong guy. I'm the right guy right here, right now. Every time I come to the back, every time I come to the ring, they say the revolution is televised because you're living in it. There ain't nobody that'll do what it takes to get to the top, and there ain't nobody that'll go to the lengths I'm willing to go to keep that top spot. So Jevon Evans shows up, and he gets his hands on Ricky just for a brief moment. Then Ricky does the Rochambeau through the announce table, and Jevon's busted open, which is good. So this is some good shit here. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was a great promo. It wasn't long. It was about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, but Ricky got his point across. This makes perfect sense. It's a really good, cocky promo. Ricky does his best work as a heel. So Ricky turning heel is great. I still think that he's going to have his main roster debut on the 5th of January, Raw on Netflix. So I do think that he'll show up there. You could do a loser leaves NXT match with Jevon Evans. I think that would make sense. You do that on the 30th. That makes the most sense. You end the feud right then and there, and then you send Ricky to the main roster. That makes the most sense, right? Like, Ricky doesn't really need to be in NXT too long. He's been there since February. You know, he's already established. The reason why he was there was just because you couldn't build the show around him on the main roster just yet, so you had to put him in NXT. But Ricky doesn't need to be in NXT anymore, right? You could easily align him with the Vision. That would be great. You automatically put him in a top spot, and it keeps him fresh and everything else. Clearly, they're going to run the Vision for a while. They're not going to get rid of the faction for a minute. And I think that would be great, you know, to have Ricky in the Vision along with Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker, all to be managed by Paul Heyman, which is great. So that would be great, man. I think that would be the best way to use Ricky for a while. And then when the faction breaks up, then Ricky can be a made man, basically, on Raw. So I think that would be good. And you would immediately put him in the top spot with Punk too. So you could, because they've got history from, AEW and all that jazz. So yeah, but good stuff there. I like this. This was good. Moving on from that, this leads us into Ava. She's talking to Zarya and Sol Ruca. So Ethan Page, he shows up in the office. He barges in the office. He wants to know what the hell's going on. He said, 1 second, reptiles are stealing his car. Tony Angelo is jumping in from behind. And didn't he tell Sol Ruca to move on from Zarya? And then let's not forget about Romeo and Juliet coming after his AAA tag team titles. And then he says there's a moose on the loose in Florida. Chelsea Green and Alba Fire, they show up to a really good reaction. Chelsea says that Ava's just as bad as Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, which is 1,000% correct. All three general managers are ass, especially Ava. Ava is straight up ass. Like, she's garbage. She's a total Nepo baby. Total Nepo baby. Like, she's the worst part of NXT. We get why she's there. We understand why she's there. But come on, man. Like, Ava is not good at her job. She's fucking awful. So, basically, Ava's going to make a match next week. It's going to be Chelsea Green versus Sol Ruca for the Women's United States Championship next week. So that's cool there. Obviously, Sol Ruca is going to lose. And I think that's when you do the heel turn of Zarya. So Zarya should cost Sol Ruca the match next week. You got to turn Zarya heel. You got to. You got to pull the trigger on that. Moving on. Kendall Gray and Ren Sinclair, they defeat Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, and Laney Reed. So JC Jane was on commentary. She got involved in the match. So Kendall Gray tapped out Fallon Henley with the cross arm breaker. So good stuff there. So Kendall Gray is great. Kendall Gray needs to win at New Year's Evil again. On New Year's Evil, that should be JC Jane's swan song, right? You don't need her there in NXT anymore. You don't need Fallon Henley there anymore in NXT. I think they're both ready. You could obviously just make them as a tag team, right? And beef up the tag team division on the main roster for the women. That's what I would do. But it is what it is. Moving on from that, so good stuff there. Thea Hale had a backstage interview with Kelly Kinnaid. Thea says that she has no tears to shed, no more tears to shed. She's the new NXT Women's Champion. North American Champion. She's been here since she was 18. She's always wanted to be a champion. She's had friends and foes before. She was in Chase U. Thea Hale talks about having her names on the title plate soon. She's so excited. So Jordynne Grace shows up. Jordynne Grace congratulates Thea Hale. It looks like she figured out this quicker than she did. Thea tells Jordynne Grace that she has to remain positive. So Mariah May shows up. Mariah May tells Thea to give her the title back. And she kicked out. Mariah May doesn't know who found that referee, but he should be fired. I agree. Jordynne Grace tells Mariah May to lick her wounds and let Thea celebrate. She just had the title for 30 minutes. Mariah May tells Kelly that this is the worst day of her life, and Mariah wants a rematch. Mariah tells Thea to enjoy her new muscle muffin. Thea Hale then hugs Jordynne Grace. Good stuff there. I love that. I love Mariah May. Clearly, this is going to lead to Jordynne Grace turning heel, obviously. It makes the most sense. Why wouldn't she turn heel? I'm guessing you're going to have Mariah May lose again because Mariah May needs to be slotted in the top spot, right? Because once JC Jane leaves, you got to have another top heel to replace her, and your perfect top heel would be, I would say, Mariah May. But we'll have to wait and see how things play out. Moving on from that, this leads us into more calling stuff. So Izzy Dame finds a Shawn Spears action figure in her locker room. Tatum Paxley put it there. Lola Vice says that Izzy walks around acting like she's done with Tatum, but things are not looking good for her boys. Izzy didn't ask Lola for her opinion. Lola tells Izzy to take it easy. She should watch her back after what she did to Tatum. Izzy says that she doesn't need Lola's advice. Lola notices that Kalani Jordan's putting her stuff in back in the NXT women's locker room after being kicked out. Kalani didn't forget that Lola was the one leading the pack on that decision. Lola says, and what? Kalani says, yo, she doesn't look good around Lola. Doesn't look good on Lola. Kalani says that she's the best crossover athlete in the locker room. And if Kalani wasn't there, maybe Lola would become a champion. Lola tells Kalani that gymnastics is nothing like MMA, and people like her and Izzy Dame are going to find out really quick. Okay, good stuff there. That's fine. Moving on, this leads us into Shiloh Hill. He's backstage with Skylar Ray. Who cares? They're talking about the transition from LFG to NXT. So they run into Stax and Ariana, and so they have some words. And then Stax challenges them to a match next week, a mixed tag match. I don't care about this shit. LFG is a waste. This is another tough enough thing, and I'm kind of tired of it. Like, Shiloh Hill needs to drop this computer gimmick. It's not gonna work. It didn't work for Sami Callihan or Mustafa Ali. Drop it. Like, he's just a big tall dude, and that's it. I don't know, man. It is what it is. I really don't care about this shit. Moving on from that, this leads us into the main event of the evening. Leon Slater defeats Joe Hendry, Miles Bourne, and Dion Lennox to become the new number one contender for the NXT Championship at New Year's Evil, which is great. This was good. Match was pretty good. Leon Slater winning was the right decision, if we're being honest. Clearly, Joe Hendry is going to win and be champion probably at Stand and Deliver next year. Basically, this would be easy for Oba to win. Oba would easily win this match here with Leon Slater. Clearly, WWE is making plays at getting Leon Slater, right? Your boy's going to be on NXT television definitely next year. Same thing with Mike Santana. So NXT is going to be getting the services of Leon Slater and Mike Santana in due time, for sure. But him winning is the right decision. I still think they're going to end up having Joe Hendry win the NXT Championship at Stand and Deliver. That makes the most sense. Because Oba doesn't need to be in NXT too much longer. Same thing with Ricky. And there's stuff that you can do, So, but yeah, NXT was good for the most part. It was pretty good. I'm liking the Izzy Tatum stuff going on. They're still continuing that feud. I'm liking the Mariah May, Jordan Grace stuff. That's still pretty good. Jordan Grace is definitely going to turn heel. I like the Ricky Saints and Jevon Evans stuff. That feud's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, this is a pretty okay show for the most part. But what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.